right, guys, I'm going to be talking about gunfire desensitization for dogs. This is something that normally it's done with working dogs, whether it's a sport dog or it's a working dog that is going to be used in the field. This could be for military working dog applications, police dog applications, or hunting dog applications. If you're going to be out there, whether in the field or if you're going to be trialing and gunfire is going to be involved, there are a couple of things that you want to make sure that you're very careful about. Yes, you definitely want to have the right dog. If you're going to be working with this dog, you want it to be of good stock. You don't want to get just a random dog that hopefully will do the trick. You want a dog that is proven, has bloodlines that are specifically directed for the purpose that you're getting it for. And then your chances of having a dog that is going to do well with gunfire are just going to be much higher. People still manage to screw this up, and I've heard so many stories over the years. I've seen it so many times over the years where people do it wrong, which what they do is they'll go, well, let's just see what happens. And sometimes the dog does fine because it's a good solid dog, and sometimes the dog goes, what the hell was that? And then now the dog is confused, and then the trainer is frustrated, and then they start correcting the dog. All kinds of bad things start happening. So you never want to test it out just to see how it goes. Another thing that people do is they'll put the dog on obedience. So they'll make the dog down, or they'll make the dog sit, and then they'll do the gunfire. Of course, the dog gets freaked out, and now what happens is they'll correct the dog because it broke the down. Because in their logic, they're thinking, well, he broke the down, so I'm gonna correct him and put him back on the down. In the meantime, what's happening in the dog's head is, oh crap, I just heard the gunfire and I got corrected, so it's gotta be the gunfire. The classical addition takes place, the dog makes this association, the gunfire equals corrections. So a terrible way to do it, it creates a lot of conflict, and it's just not good for the dog. Another way that I've seen people do this wrong is they'll just take the dog to the gun range, and they'll just go to the gun range and let's do some gunfire training. Well, if you have a really solid dog, you're probably not gonna know any different, and the dog is gonna be fine. But if you happen to have a dog that maybe is a little bit on the sensitive side, or maybe that approach was not the best, now you screw up the dog. Now, of course, what people do when they screw up the dog is they blame the dog. Like, that's just a shitty dog. And so that's another way to screw your dog up, is you just take your dog to the gun range, and then now you're just flooding him with these gunshots, which the dog could process and get past, but the dog could also get highly sensitized to that. So we don't want to do that. So one approach that works really well is, do it through a little bit of a distance. And what I mean by that is, you'll see in the video, you can have a helper good distance away from you, and you could be playing with your dog. This is how I want to introduce the gunfire to my dog. It's in a very pleasant manner. So I'm gonna be playing with the dog, and my helper at the distance could fire some shots every once in a while. Or I could give them some signals and they can fire some shots as I'm playing with my dog. If I observe that the dog is a little bit confused, a little bit, maybe a little bit weirded out, then I'll tell the helper just go a little bit farther out. And then I'll just do that back and forth, and I'll do like a few of those, and then that's it. And then I might do it again, like maybe the following week. I'm not gonna do this every single day. You don't wanna hammer it every single day. It really is not necessary. That actually could have adverse effects on the dog. The other way to do it too, if you don't have a helper, is you could do the gunshots behind you. You're playing with your dog. This is provided that your dog doesn't run away from you. And you just throw the ball as far as you can, provided that your dog likes the ball. Throw the ball or the bumper, whatever, as far as you can, right? Just pretty much you're playing with the dog. And when the dog is chasing the toy, when it's the farthest away from you, you do that gunshot. Now what's happening is the dog is far away from you and the gunshot, and the dog is in chase. It's in chase mode. It's in prey mode. It's going after the toy. It's far away from you. And as it's running, its adrenaline is pumping. It's super pumped and excited. It's in prey drive. Boom, the gunfire. And shortly after, the dog gets his toy, gets his bumper. And you can do this a handful of times. Great way to introduce your dog to gunfire. There is another way to do it too, and that's something I've done too, is you just download the app on your phone. Or you could just go to YouTube and look up gunshots. And YouTube has several videos on gunshots, and it's just random gunshots. So they just go off, you know, every 20 seconds, or play for like an hour. And so what I'll do is I'll put that video, and I can control the volume. I'll set it on the table. I'll just feed my dog, play with my dog as this thing is randomly going pop, 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 right? Also, if you get an app, you can get an app on your phone that simulates gunshots. So you could just press it, it does a specific gunshot, and again, you can control the volume, which is something I really like. This is if you have more of a sensitive dog. If you notice that you have more of a sensitive dog, really take it easy on the gunshots. Sometimes you just have to wait till the dog is more mature, till the dog is past a year, maybe even depending on how sensitive your dog is. You know, again, we're talking about having the right dog. You really should have the right dog. But if you happen to have a dog that is on the sensitive side, or a female, which females, sometimes they can mature a little bit slower than male. Their power comes in a little bit later. You know, maybe wait a little bit and then start doing the gunshots a little bit down the road. Now, as far as tools go, so I already told you about the phone. Another tool is very common. It's this right here. This is just, it's a starter pistol. It just has blanks. So if you look at this, it doesn't have, you know, it doesn't have a barrel. So blank guns or starter pistols, they just take, they're just cartridges, they're not projectiles, and they're just, you know, they're pretty loud. You can get cartridges that are not as loud, but essentially this is gonna be very loud. Now, the other thing that I really like to use with younger dogs, or if I have more of a sensitive dog, is this right here. I know it's kind of silly, but this is something you can get at Walmart, you know, H-E-B, some sort of store. I think even some feed stores will have it. It's a toy, really. Same thing, there's no projectile here. It just takes these little cartridges. Some of you guys that are old enough might even have played with this. So if you just hear it right here, okay, it has a little bit of a pop for sure. But it's not nearly as loud as this is. If I were to fire this, I'm not gonna do it right now. If I were to pull the trigger on this, you know, nothing will come out, but it's very loud. But you know, this is kind of a nice in between. Your phone, the video or the app on your phone has some nice sound effects too, but there's a difference where your phone is it just comes out of the speakers, whereas with one of these, you know, you'll have the sound definitely amplifies. It travels. It has more of a presence than just your phone. Now, going to the range can also be beneficial, but you have to be very smart about it. So, like, I have a range right here. I'm actually standing right here where I normally shoot. I have a backstop over there to my left. And you know, if I were to do some desensitization or some gunfire training, I wouldn't bring my dog close by as I shoot. I wouldn't have my wife bring my dog as I'm shooting. You know, that just wouldn't be responsible. But if we were to use the backstop, the gun range, I could bring my dog pretty far, you know, and then from there I would go kind of same approach. I'd play with my dog and I'd gradually get close. And you know, that's how you would do it. Now, if I'm shooting, you know, 9mm 45, that's gonna be pretty loud. But if I'm shooting like a 22, that's gonna be not as loud. You know, that still has a little bit of a pop, but it's not as loud as, you know, your 5.56, as your 9mm, your 45 caliber. So if you are gonna use the range, be aware, you know what the person is using, and have an idea of how far you are gonna be from that range. So that's pretty much it. And above all, you know, yeah, these are, you know, they're not shooting real projectiles, but gun safety is still gun safety, you know, just about habits. I'm not gonna point it at anybody. I'm not gonna joke around with this. It's still very freaking loud, so I'm not gonna be screwing around with it, because even if I just happen to shoot it and I'm not paying attention, somebody's gonna get startled. I'm gonna get startled because it's very, very loud. This is not as loud, but you still have to be careful with this. That's it.